Hey, my name is Thomas and look what I've got here today, the mighty Leica M6. And no, Tom's Cameras is not gonna go posh, high price equipment, but nonetheless this is a legend, and a fellow supporter of my channel gave me this camera for a month so I can shoot and review it. I'm super excited, so let's have a go. The south of the Netherlands, and this harbor has a lot of old history. There's a lot of 1920s ships that fits the history of Leica, which, as you know, started in 1925 with the serial production of the first Leica Model 1. So, for example, that boat Stella Maris was built in 1922, and the boat over there, the Elco tugboat, was made in 1927. And yes, even the M Leica has a lot of stuff that still goes back to the 1920s. It has a lot of quirks, not just features, and I'm going to show you all of them. So the M Leica itself, which is a vast improvement over the old Leicas from the 20s and 30s, appeared the first time in 1954 with the model M3, and this is an M6, packs a pretty advanced light meter, through the lens light meter into the same body, and this was produced from 1984 onwards. The quirks and features of the Leica M6. Let's start with the top plate. We've got the shutter time dial, shutter button, advanced lever, and this is to show you how many exposures you have on your film, and this is the rewind crank. From the front you see the viewfinder window. This window is to illuminate the frame lines, projected frame lines they call it. I'll talk about the frame lines in a minute. And this small window is for your rangefinder, so you can measure the distance of your shot. Lenses, rangefinder lenses always have the aperture ring in the front. Compared to SLR lenses, that's the difference in handling. I prefer it in the front, and some SLRs like Olympus OM also have that. This is a 50mm lens f2, but of course lenses are interchangeable. On the back, this weird thing, this is one of the quirks of the Leica M. If you want to change the film, it's not like you can open the back and just put in the film. No, this is a so-called bottom loader. You open it here and only this part opens, and you have to slide in the film like this and this. And this part you can open just to check if your film is positioned correctly, but still putting in film is really weird on these cameras, again because they did it that way in the 1920s. This is of course your nice big viewfinder eyepiece, and this thing is if you want to put on an external flash sync, but of course the camera also has a flash hot shoe. And flash sync, by the way, is 1/60th of a second, again a little bit dated if you ask me. And talking about quirks, you see a lever here. This one is just to change the frame lines in your viewfinder, so you can see in the viewfinder if you maybe want to use a different lens, telephoto or wide angle or something. This is like a preview that only changes the frame lines, and when you actually change the lens, it will also automatically show the right frame lens in the viewfinder, but still you can switch to toggle between the other focal lengths. And here, where there should be a self-timer, next quirk, There is no self-timer because when they fitted a light meter, this was the only space they could use to put in a battery. So older Leica M bodies have a self-timer here, but not the M6. And this small thing here is to remove your lens, of course. And that thing is to rewind the film. That's it about the quirks and features of the Leica M. Oh, I forgot one thing. See this? Focus, close focus is 0.7 meters. There is no way that an analog Leica M can focus closer than that unless you're using really super weird close-up attachments. That's one of the big disadvantages of the rangefinder design. Shooting with a rangefinder, you have to keep in mind what does it mean. A rangefinder camera is a camera where you just look through the eyepiece and then out of this window. You're not looking through the lens as in an SLR camera or a modern mirrorless camera. You look through an optical window and you just see the world as it is, and then there are some frame lines projected onto this view to show you how far your frame goes. And when you switch the focal length of your lens, if you put on another lens for example, then these frame lines will just change. For a telephoto lens they get smaller and smaller. You still see the whole image through the viewfinder like in a 35mm or 28mm lens, but inside there is a tiny frame line, for example for a 135. So shooting telephoto lenses maybe is not really fun. And why is it a rangefinder? Because there is also something that gives you the range, the distance. There is the second window, and there's a small image superimposed in the center of the frame that you see like twice, and then you focus and then you see how the two images merge. And the time they merge, that is where your focus sits. That's a rangefinder camera. This was something really awesome and fantastic and new in the 1930s, and by the time of the 1950s people were switching to SLR cameras, and only Leica actually continued to make rangefinders until today. It's a fantastic system and it gives you a special how shall I say it, a special connection to the world. Also when you take the shot there is no blackout because you're looking through the window. There's not the blackout like in an SLR camera. So you have a cool connection to the surroundings, but at the same time framing your shot is a little bit, it's just very different to anything else. It's the rangefinder experience. You either love it or maybe you hate it.
The Leica M6 viewfinder also has a parallax correction. That means when you focus you see how the frame lines change. This is to compensate for the distance between your taking lens and the viewfinder window. And also it's got a beautiful light meter. These two arrows just appear out of nothing when you touch the shutter button to show you how to expose your frame.
Something that's really special about Leicas is how well they are made. The fit and finish is just impeccable. Having said that, there is a difference between the old models from the 50s. They feel even better made. I don't know how they made it. For example, the top cover of this camera is made from some alloy, and it can have a problem that's called sink pass, like old toys. So if you are in the market for Leica M6, get one with a serial number that's above 2 million, then this sink pass problem is cured. If you have a lower one, the top cover might cause trouble because it just breaks apart suddenly. That's a chemical reaction. With the older Leicas, all this was made from brass, and it's just an even better quality. But having said that, the quality and the craftsmanship is fantastic, and also Leicas can always be serviced because they are still in production. And Leitz, the company in Wetzlar in Solms in Germany, they put great pride in providing you with the best possible service even for your very old cameras. So If you like that sort of stuff, then a Leica is made for you. Time for the verdict, and again keep in mind there will be additional videos where I'm gonna compare this camera to other nice analog 35mm cameras, but nonetheless, of course, it's something super special to shoot a Leica. The craftsmanship is impeccable, the shutter sound is beautiful, it's that beautiful simple click, hard to describe, you just have to feel it. The lenses are super well in fit and finish, and also super sharp, of course. But that's not the specialty about the Leica, because other cameras are as awesome in most of that regards. But this is the original, this is the legend. This camera started 35mm photography, and you feel it when you're using it. The rangefinder system is awesome. It has its quirks that you really have to get used to, like there is no close focusing. Shooting a telephoto lens is just a nightmare. I would think this camera works perfect with a 28-35 and a 50mm lens, 75 maybe, and if you're wearing glasses then forget about the 28 as well, or use external viewfinders. But frankly, if you're shooting a telephoto lens like an 85, 90, 135, always look for an SLR camera. That's my opinion. So it has its shortcomings, but if you stay within the range of what it can do well, it's a super rewarding thing to shoot, and yeah, I'm so thankful to have tried it out. So that's it for today. I hope you found this interesting, maybe even useful. If you did so, then please leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet, and hit the small bell button. As I said before, there will be more videos featuring the Leica M6. I don't only want to promote a 4,000 euro analog camera to you, but I also want to show you some interesting and super nice alternatives for awesome 35mm photography. So I hope you have a great time, live long and prosper, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.